Hello friends, I'm back with another video, and today's video is about differentiating chatbot and agent. We will understand what is the difference between a chatbot and an agent. This is the third video in the foundation series where we understand what is a chatbot, what is an agent. And once we complete this, we'll move on into the advanced series of designing agentic systems. So let's dive into the video and understand what is the difference between a chatbot and an agent. So this is the final basic video for us. Before we move into the designing agentic systems section. Okay, so how do we move from chatbot to agent? What is the difference between a chatbot and an agent? Uh, you ask ChatGPT now to book a flight for you, okay, or maybe if you chat with ChatGPT and you ask to book a flight for you, what it does that it can give you a clean step-by-step instructions as to how the flight can be booked. Okay, that is pretty good. You get a lot of insights beforehand. When you reach on the site, you know which section to navigate. That eases your journey, but it does not actually book it for you, right? It can still, the current versions of ChatGPT, while creating this video, it can still perform some steps for you, navigate, search the sites, select the sites, select an itinerary for you, but it cannot proceed beyond that, right? So the difference between a chatbot and an agent is that a chatbot can only respond with text to you, but it will not be able to perform an action. If the same program performs an action for you, in fact, if it completes the flight booking for you, then in that case, you can very well, mention or very well take that program as an agent for you because it is actually performing the task for you. So this is the difference between a chatbot and an agent. Uh, so I will properly explain how this difference can be differentiated between a chatbot and an agent. Okay, and by the end of this video, you will exactly know how a chatbot can turn into an agent. Okay, and also why it's genuinely risky while designing an agent, creating an agent, because you're giving too much of control to the agent to do some steps. Just let me repeat once again that this is ultimately the final basic video in our foundation series. So our main goal is to design agentic systems, right, which we will start from the next video. So short recap of the last two videos. In the first video, we cracked open what these AI tools actually are: large language models, next word machines. Basically, they predict the next word machines pretty fast. Okay, and in the second, we looked at ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, the main ones, and some low-cost challenges like Quen and what do we say, Quen, Kimi, right? They all are the same kind of engine in different bodies. Okay, but every single thing we did across both videos had one shape. You type it, it replies. You ask it, it answers. That's a conversation of a chatbot. Okay, maybe I'm talking too much and not whiteboarding, so let me do that for you so that the recap videos are refreshed in your mind. So we in the beginning we understood what a chat bot is. Next, word predictors. Remember the example: twinkle twinkle little dash. It can predict. And similarly, if you feed a lot of data to the LLMs, data can be libraries, books, websites, articles, okay, and research papers, etc., with a lot of patterns. Okay, then your model becomes mature and it can respond with respect to all this data. Then secondly, we discussed about the uh, different LLMs, the major LLMs in the market, like in the industry, like Chat GPT, then Claude, Gemini. These are all next word predictors basically, and they can do a lot of much more stuff nowadays, but we'll discuss in detail in the later videos. Okay, we can relate to what they are doing and how we will use those features and functionalities in our enterprise agent design. Okay, and every model has its own advantage. Like Claude is for documentation, ChatGPT for brainstorming, Gemini for text to speech or image generation or video generation, right? Okay, so this is a short recap. uh, so ultimately all these are next word generators, and we looked at them at a from a perspective of a chatbot where they respond to you quickly with good answers, but at the same time we also realize that whatever answers they gave need not be 100% correct. It can be wrong as well. Okay, so what actually turns a chatbot into an agent? Three things. One is tools, second is goals and loop, third is autonomy. Autonomy. Okay, so we'll look at these tools and autonomy. So for example, if you go back to the flight uh, no, we'll not go back to the flight example. So first we will look for a simple, so a simple chatbot can only produce words. An agent, when it is given some tools, okay, it can do a lot more. So first of all, you can imagine this is my agent. This is simply a program coded by some, maybe if we talk about our program, it's an LLM. Okay, uh, now this program, when it gets some connectivity to some tools, let's say it gets connectivity to an API, let's say it gets connectivity to some URL, let's say it gets connectivity to some SMTP email connector, let's say it gets some connectivity to a database. So if this program is able to connect to a lot of tools and perform an operation, then it becomes, or it the status quo changes from a chatbot to an agent. Okay, so for example, if my program is able to search the web, if we go by the flight example, search the web, then run some code, run a piece of code internally, then maybe call an API to capture more details, then maybe query a database, right? So that means this program, this LLM, is able to do much more than just responding back on chat. Okay, now tool is just a capability enhancer, right? This LLM was previously only giving responses in text. Now it is able to perform actions. Okay, so in a booking flight example, you search, you look at options, you pick and check dates. For example, again I relate, you search, you pick some flights, sorry, maybe you search, you look for options, you pick some flights, then you check dates, correct, and then you adjust, and you realize that okay, this is not the correct flight which you want, right? So you again do the entire process, look for options, pick some flight, check dates, adjust, right? So this is a kind of a loop which you're doing again and again. This loop uh, can be performed by a program which you can call it as an agent. So I hope you understand what I mean by tools, the first part which we were discussing over here, the tools part, that it can be an API, it can be URL, SMTP, email, database, everything. So there is a concept called MCP, which we will look into my or discuss in my later videos. But right now, you can just understand that if you give the LLM a program, the power of tools or the tools connectivity, it can do much more for you, acting like an agent. Now, the goals loop also, I explained it to you that if some function or some task has to be performed again and again until and unless you reach to a point where you finalize the what needs to be done, that is called as a loop. Okay, which we saw it over here. And the last part is autonomy is something where once you configure this agent, right, uh, before that, let me give you a banking example as well. Let's say you are doing a fund transfer. At the back end, what has happened, okay, if you can go to my system design series, you'll understand that whenever you are doing a fund transfer from your mobile app, we call it as a front end, then there is a back end where you have some kind of a application service running, which is developed by a developer. So once your fund transfer request comes over here, which may have details like a from account, a to account, okay, and maybe amount, I'm just keeping it very simple. This application service will actually perform multiple operations. For example, it can connect to a database, and it can connect it has to first check whether the from account has enough balance. Then it may have to check what is the limit allowed. For example, you must have seen in UPI, sometimes when you do a lot of transactions during the day, or maybe you have already uh, spent 1 lakh uh, in a day from your UPI transactions. It doesn't allow you to do another transaction. That happens over here, where the limit is checked, limit allowed. Then once these checks are done, then it may actually do a process of debit the from account, then credit the to account. Okay, then it can uh, send out an email. So that means all these actions are performed by this program. And if you are a software developer, you may know, and you may have already built a kind of a agent, okay, which is performing this action, and this is doing it in a loop. For example, for every customer request it gets, it performs the same operation again and again. So this covers our second part also. The tools is this part, loop is performing this for multiple customers. Autonomy is something where, as a developer, once you have actually created this service and deployed it in production, it autonomously, without waiting for any developer or admin input, it autonomously performs these options, these actions. So that is how you convert a chatbot into an agent, which can actually perform these three, or which these three things actually make a chatbot or transform a chatbot into an agent. Okay, so this is how it can be done. But just one caveat I want to throw in over here is that a chatbot, since it is autonomous, and here if I give you a banking example, this goes through a lot of regression. That means before actually putting this autonomous service into production, it goes through a lot of processes like dev, SIT, UAT, then pre-prod, okay, then blue green, and it goes into production. So that when we give this freedom to perform actions autonomously, it may not do anything wrong. But a chatbot or an agent as we know that it can give you wrong answers also, and it can, if you don't configure it properly as an agent to perform actions, it can perform wrong actions as well. So you need to be aware of this while designing an agent or agentic AI for an enterprise. That is important. Okay. So I hope I was able to articulate this properly, and you find this information informative for you. Thank you. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye. Hey guys, if you found the video informative and was able to comprehend and understand the video and it is informative for you, then please do like and subscribe and share. Thank you. Thank you very much.